under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all so much. We'll open the meeting with public comment, a 15-minute segment where if there's an individual who has some issue of concern or would like to make a comment, that we're allocated 2 minutes. Yes, Steve?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment that we have a tent that this town bought,
3.
however many tent, yeah. I was there the other day when the snow was not on the ground. All the metal parts are all over the floor, ground.
I'm very familiar with the situation.
Currently.
Mhm.
So I would like to make a motion that we coordinate something, and there are organizations which are sending packages to the Ukraine. And I think that maybe that might be a great direction. I don't like to waste. Clearly, what's happening with that, and maybe other things that we don't know about, but with that, it's really a waste, and it cost everybody's money, because this was public money. So hopefully we can do something about it. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and we have had
And it's a pleasure.
we've had discussions about this issue before, and agree certainly that some kind of action from our board needs to be forthcoming.
I would just add to that I did hear that one of your subcommittees is looking to use those for an event.
You mean the
Yeah,
250?
I think they have an event that they think they can use those for, to ensure that weather won't prevent the event from occurring.
Yeah, the only concern that we have currently is storage, and the fact that we hope that they are being well taken care of. I don't think I could guarantee you that that's the case. That I think they've just been left in a spot, and they're pretty much, anything that was around them, plastic or anything, is all deteriorated or blown away. And so it's really, we've had the conversation of where do you put them? We have to move them with with heavy equipment. It's not like I can go down and put them in the back of my hatchback. Yeah. So at any rate, figuring out, are we going to use them, and if we're not going to use them, do we get rid of them, or if the people are going to use them, where do we store them so there's access, and how do we train people for erecting them so they're safe? Because the
Where are
building,
they located now?
they're just down behind the DPW building, literally thrown in a heap.
And who has the responsibility? Does DPW have responsibility of them?
I don't believe they do. They were just dropped there after they were purchased by the select board. At least that's what they feel. And we have never actively used them. The building inspector initially said that they were a little too big for what just a typical public group could, put up on their own, and that we needed to have certain certifications to have that done. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. And well, you say no, he says yes, he's in charge, so that's where we're stuck. But anyway.
Well, I think the
that's the
first question then
circumstance.
is who would be responsible for assessing what condition they're in at this point? We need to get an assessment of if they're usable for any purpose, and then what our options are to donate.
Well, I would say that
Not using
Jessica.
They're not very good tents.
Yeah, Jessica sent me the specifics of them when they were ordered, and they seem to be a very high quality. And so I would say we should share those specifics with all of us. I know you're quite familiar with them, and then have the building inspector, perhaps with us, go down there and do an evaluation. Hopefully, we're not going to get a lot of snow, and we'll be able to really see the circumstances and make decisions about what to do next. I do think that the 250th might be interested in using them, but we can't leave them for another 18 months, 2 years, where they are, and hope that they're going to be fine to use and not deteriorated to a point, so.
I had thought about Ukraine, I had thought also about Turkey. They were having an earthquake. They had several.
Yes, just had
And
another.
I saw something on one of the channels, I can't recall, that there's a group that's actively sending cases and boxes and equipment. And the United States is also sending cases. And it wouldn't be nice if the town of Barre raised their hand and participated.
Mhm. Well, that may be something that we have to just make sure, one, the tents would be sufficient, and we can't just plop them in the mail and say, take them to Turkey. There may be places where you say to that group, here's what we have, and then they put it as part of a gift or some way that they're bringing equipment over to those areas. But that's certainly beyond our ability to have that discussion tonight, since we don't even know the circumstances
We
of
would
the
need to know
tents.
the condition of them before
Exactly.
we offer them.
And the
to
eggs,
anyone as
and the,
well, just-
yeah.
The only, I've got two thoughts. One is, a couple of meetings ago, you had talked about the CMRPC effort with schools and everything, and shared resources.
Yep.
These could be a by-town shared resource, hey, who
Yep.
wants it next for their
Yep.
next annual celebration?
Yeah, good idea, because there's 3 of them.
And then you just get a vendor that does the service of erecting and putting it back down.
Mhm.
You just gotta tell them where to grab it and then where to put it back when they're done.
Yeah.
And that's likely the best avenue for a town like us, because there's no department that's gonna have the personnel that will know how to put it up and wanna take that risk.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just throwing it out.
Nice idea.
Good luck, though.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, any other items or issues of concern that need to be addressed in public comment? We have a couple more minutes. Okay, hearing and seeing none. Jessica, you have prepared for us a consent agenda, and we'd just like to walk through that a little bit so we know the structure of that. I know we do it at town meeting, we do it at a lot of other public meetings in the Commonwealth, but just to make sure we're all aware of what goes in a consent agenda and why we do that.
Yes, thank you. So, other communities have been trending towards doing a consent agenda for some business that really doesn't warrant a lot of conversation and is more procedural than anything. So in order to move the meeting along a little bit quicker, the board, can take up these items in a consent agenda, very similar to how it's done at town meeting, with the understanding that if a board member wants an item taken out of the consent agenda, the board member identifies that item before voting on the consent agenda, and then the board can vote on all of the remaining items without any any discussion, and it can be one motion to approve the consent agenda.
And this does not in any way prohibit discussion by an audience member, does it?
No, what I would recommend doing is saying, identifying all of the items that are in the consent agenda, requesting for any comment, if there's any comment from the public, and then if there's any need for further discussion by a board member, I think the board member should take that item out of the consent agenda. And I think I would recommend also, if there's a member of the public who says, I want to discuss this wage authorization, then the board takes that item out of the consent agenda and deals with that item separately.
Mm-hmm.
But for the rest of it, just identify what the items are, and then one motion should take care of all of the business.
Okay. Any questions for Jessica regarding the consent agenda? Okay, looking at the items included in the consent agenda, any member of the board that would like to remove one of the items from the consent agenda for further discussion later should do so now.
I would just want to remove the executive session minutes, just so that we're making sure we're approving and or releasing. It's just not listed on here.
The police union should be the only one that does not get released.
Excuse me?
The police executive session on the police union negotiations would be the only item under the meeting minutes that would not be ready for public.
So if we can just include that with which ones are for releasing, which ones aren't, then I'm
Ye-
fine leaving them in the
Yes.
consent agenda.
What's the point of having a consent agenda? These items take 10 minutes to go over. I don't understand.
It's just to-
It takes what we do out of the public's view, which is exactly opposite of this, open and transparent meetings, I think. I'd rather just call these things up and take the 5 or 10 minutes and deal with them. I'm wholly against it, a consent agenda for our meetings. My opinion.
Thank you, Greg. Anyone else want to make a motion to not include items in the consent agenda? Is that a motion or just a comment?
I'm not for a consent agenda.
Well, I know, but is there a motion that we not pursue a consent agenda in this or other, subsequent meetings?
I think that motion would be out of order. There is no motion made to change what we're doing currently, which is proceed without them.
I disagree.
We've had certainly not made any decision to go along with and use consent agendas, so I mean, I don't see the point of making a motion against it. I would not vote in favor of using a consent agenda if we want to take that motion, but I
Well-
prefer the meeting go
With the consent agenda?
without a consent agenda as we normally do meetings.
John, any comment?
I'm curious what we have for,
Is this the first time the board has talked about a consent agenda?
it is.
No one's talked about
So
it.
you're not even talking about using it, you actually just put it into it?
Yes.
I could see why Greg is confused, because you're not talking about do you want to use it, you're saying what do you want to remove from it? That was your question.
Well, no, I wanted to know if he wanted to have a motion not to pursue a consent agenda in any way.
I do understand that, but that wasn't your original question.
No, my original question was an assumption
Does
that the
somebody
consent.
want to
Yeah.
request a motion to
Right.
pull something out?
I mean,
So I think Greg didn't know how to respond to that.
Yeah, well,
with
I don't
your
think,
follow-up question.
don't think for Jay,
I think-
Greg, he can tell me
I
what I
think the
think.
appropriate
No,
motion
I'm
then
just
would be
giving
to
my
remove
percent.
all items from the
Then,
consent
yeah,
agenda.
I was gonna
because
say, I'll make a motion to remove all items from the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we'll remove all items from the consent agenda. We have a motion made and seconded. Those in favor of the motion?
Right?
Aye, okay. I'm fine with that.
I do
Just,
think it's worth still having a discussion about using them in the future.
mhm.
When we're doing certainly wage authorizations, annual renewals, and, you know, which we typically do, we'll say, this stuff will be posted online, and we sort of do that as a line item anyways. We're going to approve reappointing all these personnel on this list, but
Well, okay, let's move on then. Let's look at meeting minutes. A motion or comment on the meeting minutes of February 6th.
almost done going through them. So far, I have no issues.
I would move to approve the meeting minutes from February 6th.
We have a motion made.
I will second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the meeting minutes of February 6th, 2023, and these would be for public distribution. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Can I ask a question? Couldn't you group those as one motion? Just list them off as February 6th, executive session not release, February 6th, executive session not release?
Well, of course we could, but it appears that people want to do them independently, so we'll continue with that. The meeting minutes, an executive session for February 6, 2023.
These are,
There are two sets. The
This
first
is
one
set four,
regarding
not
the
fifth.
police union negotiations.
And one is
So-
the fire issue.
So
I think, yeah, Greg did. I would make a motion to approve, not for release, the executive session minutes from February 6th in regard to the police union negotiations.
We need a second for that motion?
that's for the police?
Yep.
Police, yeah.
I will second that motion.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the February 6, 2023 executive session minutes, but not for release. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on, February 6th, executive session, acting fire chief, those would be for release.
So I would motion to approve and release the executive session minutes from February 6th, discussing the position with, bargaining session or contract negotiation with non-union personnel acting fire chief.
Okay. We have a motion made. Oh, you can't, I'll second that. Motion made and seconded for the executive session meeting minutes regarding the acting fire chief. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
And we have one abstention. February 14th, the minutes for February 14th, 2020.
Move we approve the minutes for February 14th.
Second?
We have a motion made and seconded for the release and approval of the minutes for February 14th, 2023. Hearing no comments or concerns relative to the meeting's minutes as presented. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Wage authorization, we have wage authorizations for Police Officer Dylan Forss. His paperwork as presented, he's going to the full-time of $25.49 per hour. And we have a second person, Ryan Walsh, and he's coming to being a full-time officer, and his rate is going to $25.49, similar to the previous individual.
This
James.
percent increase 14%, what does that mean in those? Are they part-time now?
Nope, they
Or
are
they're-
full-time officers that were on field training, and now
So
they
they
are
have
off field
reduced
training.
hours of field
Yeah.
training, so.
No, they had full-time hours, it's just they were still training, so they were at the training.
Oh, it's just a pay increase
Yeah.
because they're off your FTO?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Make a motion to approve those two wage authorizations for Ryan Walsh
Dylan.
and Dylan Forss.
Second?
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the wage authorizations recommended by Chief Saborn. Those in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. We have requests for the use of town property, the Lions Club Car Show, which is an annual event we're pretty familiar with, Christmas in Barre, and Making Opportunities Count. And then also the special event, which would be Greg's Restoration Car Show, all of which really request the use of town property. There's a lot of paperwork that goes through fixing this recommendation. And Sandy, are we pretty close to having all of that work done?
They're all done.
They're all
the
done.
Special events, they're all approved.
Okay. There's a lot of paperwork, a lot of people that they have to stop in and get signatures for, and so having all of that information available for our review, looking for approval of those particular requests for use of town property for the following: Car Club, Christmas in Barre, Making
I would
Opportunities
address them
Count.
individually, I'd make a motion, we approve the special permit for request to use town property for Christmas in Barre with waiving of any fees.
Christmas in Barre for waiving all the fees. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve the special event permit for Barre Lions Club.
I have a second.
Second?
We have a motion made and seconded for the Barre Lions Club Car Show. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have Making Opportunities Count. That paperwork is done, and I believe they've done this previous in our town. We need a motion, please.
What's the purpose of this again? What group is it that puts it on?
Making Opportunities
It's
Count.
count.
They're for kids.
It's a children.
It's a state-funded
Yeah.
program.
Right, so this is, that's why I checked, basically a charitable program for kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I make a motion, we approve this use of town property with, again, the waiving of the fees.
We had a motion made.
I'm actually going to abstain.
Okay.
I've done something
Okay,
before.
I will second that motion, though, made and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Abstain?
Okay. And finally, Greg's Restoration Car Show, which is sort of a big event, and need to have a recommendation to approve Greg's Restoration Car Show as information is presented to you.
Oh,
Yep.
April 29th.
Yep,
okay.
that's Felton Field, right?
Yeah.
I must have clicked it with another one of these.
This is tight.
You have all proper approvals?
Yep.
All right. I would make the motion to approve.
I don't have it.
Right here.
Oh, it's just this, oh. That's odd.
We have a
I
mo,
have it
do we have a motion to approve?
in a second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the special event called Greg's Restoration Car Show. Those in favor?
Aye?
Aye. Approved. Moving along to Select Board Reports, if there are any. We could hear them now.
Just a reminder that the Barre Visioning Night will be on March 1st at Stone Cow between 5 and 7:30 with the Master Plan Steering Committee. So open
What night is that again?
Wednesday, March 1st.
Wednesday, March 1st, just so that it's on the record of the virtual source. And that's 5:30 till 7:30?
5 to 7:30.
Okay. Is that kind of come for the whole time, or just drop in?
Come in and, it's self-paced, self-guided. There's,
Okay.
station with some activities for kids too.
Oh, good.
And Mock will actually be supporting us with that. They're donating some time.
Who is?
Mock,
Oh.
Making Opportunity to Count the
Oh,
group
great.
that's doing.
Great. Okay, anything else from select boards, Greg?
I just want to follow up on old business and see where we are on our order to remove that dog.
I am waiting for our legal counsel to approve.
What's the holdup for 2 weeks? They haven't got back from us?
I can't hear you, by the way.
Well, first I had to put together the letter and then send it to him, and it just takes a couple days for him to get back to us.
This is our attorney.
So when did you send the letter out?
The 15th, I think, late last week.
All right, just strange. It's taken this long. I would have expected that to have gone out the next day. I would have heard from the attorneys within a week. I thought this would have been done. Frustrated, but please keep us apprised of when you head back from the attorney so we can move forward with that.
I have nothing of consequence to report this evening, so moving on to the town administrator report.
Thank you. So the last couple of weeks have been fairly busy now that we are in full swing of the budget. I've been meeting with the finance committee as well as our finance team, trying to create a cohesive plan for the FY24 budget. And we did get free cash certified last week, so in the amount of $545,950. So I've been working on a plan on how we should invest those funds, and having conversations about special town meeting, which the board will need to set a date. For, and we'll be able to use those
Could you walk us through just the time frame backing up from a special town meeting? Obviously, the town clerk has some insight into that as well. So if we wanted to have a town meeting at the very end of March, where do we fall on getting the warrant prepared and all of that?
So I think it would be a tight time frame, but I do think it's reasonable because the special town meeting has shorter requirements for posting. I want to say it's only 2 weeks for posting. So if at the next meeting we schedule a special town meeting and open and close the warrant in the same meeting, I think that we would be able to get that scheduled for one of the last days of March.
Okay, I would, obviously, I would like the public to have a little opportunity to take a look at the warrant, but what do the rest of the board think about that moving as quickly and not? The reason I'm nervous about going into April, obviously, is we potentially could have one of us pretending to be the administrative assistant here. And so I want to know, what are you guys feeling about end of March? I mean, it is quick. It's really only 4.5 weeks from now. We do have some cleanup and we need to do.
Well, the biggest issue is the 2-week notice, public notice.
Yeah, right.
For the special.
Mhm.
Obviously, during that 2 week, the finance can hold their meeting. That's not critical to when that falls in. We don't need much time to open the warrant up, but the intent of this is not to open up the public to put things on. They can if they want,
Yeah,
but it's not the intent, as
Yeah.
we said before, the special town meetings to do budgetary
exactly.
items that we need to do, not for bylaws and other things to be inserted, so I'm not really worried about how long it's open for. I
Don't
would
close
rather,
it in the same meeting.
I would rather see us open it as soon as possible, maybe give it a week and close it, and that's gonna give us time to make sure everything's correct on there before we advertise, and I wanna advertise it at least 2, if not 2.5 weeks ahead
Agreed.
of time.
If we want to close the warrant at our next meeting, I think it would be advisable to me to open it before then and not open and close it in the same meeting.
If we're gonna pick a date, we should open the warrant tonight, and let's give people as much time as we can, but I mean, it's not the idea to have people place
Can we
things
do that on
on
our
there.
agenda?
No, it's not. It's not on there.
It should be on the agenda for the board to open it.
Yeah.
Well, in that case,
Well, we may certainly have to just have a quick meeting next week
we
to
have
do
a
that.
question from the audience.
Just when it comes to the concept of the date for the meeting, and the fact that the very first Tuesday in April will also be an election, so the amount of work you're putting on Ellen to prepare for both
I
in
realize.
5 weeks, just bringing it up to consider what
Yeah.
impact you're putting on the town.
Well, there's no question that we should have a conversation with the town clerk.
Her
I mean,
resources, her
exactly,
support personnel, are
exactly.
they actually available
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row or whatever
Yeah,
that comes?
so, I mean, you know, that's a conversation we'll definitely have. I mean, we may be looking at more of, you know, a mid-April, and that will make you just leave quicker, but,
Yeah, so I've had some preliminary conversation, before we had free cash certified, I had some conversations with our town clerk about, kind of the beginning of April, and after the election is going to be kind of a tough month for her for, some personal reasons. So I can revisit with her on if the end of March will be too tight for her. The board may have to look until late April.
the end of April?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not, I mean,
If it's better for her for the end of March, and we have the opportunity to do that, that might be
I mean, I
an
can't-
option.
I can't
hold
say,
it.
for the reasons that
Right.
Matt identified, I can't say that it is gonna be easier, because elections are, even at a local election, they're very stressful times.
Next Monday, we could open the warrant Monday, and it can close, whatever, Thursday at noon.
mhm.
So that gives them time to address whatever issues might come in by
And we
then.
can get some input from Ellen before.
I would
that
like to get
time.
some
Right,
input from
and-
Ellen.
And that would allow us to post it, have another meeting on the 6th and post it Tuesday, the 7th,
Yeah.
which means it's ripe on the 21st.
I just want,
So we could have the meeting on the 28th, or we could,
Yeah.
I think that time it works
Yeah.
fine, it gives us a little leeway.
I
to
mean,
work
it
out
works
things.
fine for us, but we just want to make sure it
Right.
works fine for the town clerk. We'll be getting prepared for the town
It's
elections.
not gonna work fine for her either way, it's a question of whether or not she can do it or get enough help to do it. It's obviously gonna be a major pain to do that right before the election.
Well, I mean, because of the fact
But
that,
hopefully the election's
Yeah.
running itself already. In other words, it's pretty standard what she does for it. It's just the election day and the counting afterwards that's probably a bigger issue. Signing in of people, swearing into people afterwards. My guess is it'd be better before.
Yeah.
well,
So I think either way, the next step would be to have a short meeting next Monday. We can get some input
from Ellen.
from our town clerk before that time, and
So
then
we
we can
can-
make a decision at
we
that
can
point
post
when
for
the
a
best
meeting.
time would be for it.
Post a meeting tomorrow for
Yeah.
next week.
Yep.
And then
And that gives us the most flexibility for
Yeah.
when to put it.
So and if Ellen would like to attend that meeting,
Yep.
give us her sage advice,
Mhm.
that would be fine.
And it gives you the opportunity to shoot for the last week with as much time as we can.
Yeah.
It gives people a week. They know now it's probably coming, so if people want to try to get something on there, now's the time. They have not much time. They have probably a week.
No disrespect, but I have my own meeting to go to. It's good to see you guys.
Good night.
Thank you.
There's also the regular town meeting coming,
Solar.
so
Will do.
I'm sure if someone has trouble getting something on for the special town meeting,
Well, it's only a couple months.
the annual one won't be too far after.
And the annual requires 10 signatures, not
100,
100 or whatever.
10% of the voting
Right,
population.
so it's,
Yeah, it's
a
very
lot
different.
easier to get on the.
We, other things in your report?
Other than working on the budget, the unions, and, trying to forecast out some possible scenarios for union contracts, we will take up some business later on in the agenda, but there's some other things that have been taking up a lot of my time as well.
Okay. We have correspondence from Senator Comerford's office. Senator Comerford's a Democrat from the western part of the state, who not only is active in, obviously, issues of concern with Quabbin watershed and regional equity, but also has been moved into the leadership in the Senate which is good news because she is an individual who understands very specifically rural towns and their stresses and strains, especially their economic stresses and strains. So I'm really happy to see that she's picked up this particular issue and is pushing it
Yes.
ahead too.
Yes, yeah, so this came to my attention through the town clerk's office, and I wanted to share with the board that this is a piece of legislation that's been put forward that would have an impact on Barre. Essentially, it would establish a separate fund within the Commonwealth that would be known as the Quabbin Host Community Development Trust Fund. And so just another form of appropriation that would go towards some of the hardships that the communities related to the Quabbin Reservoir watershed face.
Is this in lieu of pilot or is this in addition to
This-
pilot?
From my understanding of it, it would be in addition to pilot.
Great.
And not less than 70% will go direct to the watershed communities for municipal operations. That's good.
Of course, whether it ever passes, that's another story, but
Yeah.
it's great that, no, it's
But
great to see.
it's great to just.
It's
at
great
least-
to see that it's on somebody's radar.
Mhm.
And,
Often this is where the backs get scratched. Sure, we can sign that, but I need something over here, then I need
Yeah.
something over there.
exactly.
See what you have to give into to get enough roads.
And there are obviously efforts on, I'm sure, municipalities' part to put together documents and pass them around in our
Yeah.
community to get some signatures.
Yep.
So would you take care of that, getting an appropriate letter? So
Of support, yep.
Yeah, great. Because I'm sure there are individuals that were here the other couple meetings ago about the Quabbin issues and using land would be happy to get some signatures and talk about some of the things that Lucy Allen brought up relative, to the historical significance of some of these areas. Okay, so, anything else?
No.
Okay. We now move to new business and personnel. I think, didn't we already sign the acting fire chief's MOU?
You have not signed it.
I have not, but we have voted it,
Um,
haven't we?
No.
Oh, I thought we
At the
did.
last meeting, we just negotiated a rate.
Oh, okay.
And so this meeting is going to be approving.
The actual
yeah.
document.
Yep,
Okay, thank you. I know our attorney has had an opportunity to review it.
she wrote it.
Okay, under personnel, I guess we have to say it, the resignation of our town administrator and the need, obviously, for us to consider the possibility of entertaining the idea that we will have to get an interim town administrator and a job posted for that. I understand that your end date, or what you'd like your end date to be, is April 3rd.
Yes.
And
Well, so April 3rd would be the start date of my new position, so March 31st would be my end date here.
okay. Giving yourself a lot of time between. Okay. Obviously, I guess I probably speak for many in the community that say this is a sad day for us. I know that you have been a brand-new kind of administrator, town administrator, and worked your first 3 years here in the town of Barre, and for that we have been, not only pleased, but we have benefited from your contacts at various agencies. The fact that you have a similar position as a select board member, but in the town of Palmer doing something else, brings us some other assets from your work. I have enjoyed the time that I've had the opportunity to work with you and know that it has not been easy to take on 2 new board members and hope that we know what we're doing. And obviously, it's a tough job. It's a political job. You never can please all the people all of the time. You knew that before you took the job. But when you have to live it, it's different than knowing it may be a hassle and politically tense at times. So I thank you for agreeing to be with us, to work hard with us. I mean, whether I call you on Fridays or Saturdays or Sundays, I usually don't call, I usually text and get almost an immediate response to some concerns that have either been brought to me by a citizen or whatever, and I have so appreciated the opportunity to have Saturday Zoom meetings with the attorney, because that's when he could meet with us, and so on and so forth. So, my thanks for being here and working with us. again, I guess I'm not surprised to see a young person like yourself seek other opportunities, especially because where you're going now, it's not in your face, people throwing stuff and saying, my dog is or the dog is barking, or how come so-and-so threw a trash here? I mean, it's just an entirely different way, and I guess you've had enough of a town administrator position.
I would just echo Maureen's sentiments and thank you for all the hard work you've done. We appreciate it, and you've done a good job.
Thank you.
So,
I just had an interesting contract question, I'm sure what is, but when we signed the contract with Jesse at one time, wasn't there a logical, longer
Yes.
span where
I believe it was
Someone-
60 days rather than 40 or something.
someone would give a resignation and leave us in a lurch? Or maybe next time, we should think about.
There's punitive action in there for leaving early.
What?
There's punitive action in the contract, I believe, for leaving early. And we'll just have to address that, whatever it.
So you're saying that, by the way, I think you did one hell of a job.
Thank you, Sam.
And I'm glad that you can't satisfy everybody and you can't be every place. And I'm glad the people in television land who are listening to this hear me, because I really feel that way. But when we do a contract for everybody, the town of Barre is in a lurch. We're in a jam, and we're supposed to be doing something with master plan, and we're talking about a fire station, and we're talking about solar, and we're talking about this, and we're talking about
And
that.
it never stops. It
And
never
we're-
stops. It's just something else.
And I would hope that next time, maybe when the select board goes out and directs a group of people to make a choice, that their choice is not disregarded, and at the whim of the select board say, I don't like their choice, I'm gonna choose someone else. So this is what happened, and now we're in a jam, so now you have to fix it.
You're mistaken, Mr. Limpson. The committee brought us back 2, not 3, and both were unqualified as posted. So we had to re-advertise, and we took it on doing it ourselves to make sure we got people that met the qualifications. I appreciate your attempted input there, but if
I'll
you
tell you,
understood what went
bottom
on,
line-
Mr. Lipson, I'm talking, it's not you.
Bottom line-
Mr. Lipson,
Well,
don't overtalk me, Mr.
before-
Lipson.
Sam, we've all been behaving ourselves.
The
Let's continue.
fact is that the committee failed to bring us 3 candidates that met, and the 2 they brought did not meet the qualifications
I think,
at all.
yeah, I think that
So
this
it had
part
to
of
be
the
done.
conversation is, why bother?
It's usually the board does it themselves. We don't
Yeah.
typically put that out to a committee. We tried, it did not work. We took control of it ourselves. And we took by far the best candidate. Upon interviews, Jessica blew them out of the water. They were not
Well, that's,
nearly as
I'm sure
cognitive
we'll
as
have to
this.
discuss soon
operations
what
in the
methods we'll
office.
be using to find
Yeah,
a full-time
exactly.
replacement. And we'll have to come up with a system for that going forward.
Yeah.
And as far as the 60 days, I don't know where we put the contract, but it's something trivial, because obviously no one wants to agree to a contract where they have some huge punishment if a good opportunity comes their way. And even if you say they need 120 days, you can't force somebody to work. You cannot. If they say, I'm not coming in, then they don't come in, you don't pay them, but you cannot force anyone to work. So 60 days is what we strive for. Andrew also left early, I think he was 40 or 45 days, but when they come through here and they serve the town and do a good job as they have and deal with everything they dealt with, I applaud them and encourage them to take, the advantage of their own opportunities in their lives and advance themselves.
Absolutely.
And she certainly deserves it, and I don't begrudge her that in any way, shape, or form.
Well, we've done a
I'm
good
glad to
job.
see her
We
do
just have to
better.
think.
well, at any rate,
We have to think next time. We want someone to live with the town.
It's very difficult at the money we have to offer for this, and that's what we find with all of our paychecks. It's a challenge. Our budget this year is already literally bursting at the seams. We're going to have probably to make cuts to make things fit in the budget as it's coming, with contractual obligations. And, it's getting to the point where the town may have to try to increase revenues, and that's not liked by anybody. But that's the only way you get people to stay longer. If you want an administrator that's gonna stay, we lost Andrew because he got paid $148,000 when we were paying him
78
72.
or something.
72 or 76. They doubled it. you know,
Well, this
and
is-
they're scared to
no,
lose him as well
this is-
because they know he's worth more.
Yeah, but this is sort of off the topic. I mean.
It's on the topic.
We're
This
go-
is-
we're going to,
we have to figure out.
we're going to accept the resignation, and we need a motion to accept the resignation of the town administrator as presented in her document, and obviously need to go into executive session to discuss the actual severance issues of concern.
Do we need to discuss those this evening, or can we do that on a,
We do have it on the agenda for executive session.
okay.
I mean, we can discuss as much or as little as needed in that, but
Sure.
it is on the agenda, so we can start that discussion. I would move to accept with our gratitude
And regret.
and regret, yes, Jessica's resignation. Gratitude for the work you've done, not for.
Gratitude for leaving,
Regret
wow,
leaving?
wow, that's horrible. You
You
gotta be,
Fine.
so I will second your motion with the expression of the gratitude for her performance here and regret that we're losing her.
Well said. We have a motion made and seconded on the floor regarding the resignation of our town administrator. Those in favor?
Aye?
Aye. Again, with our thanks.
Thank you.
Happy for the Department of Revenue. Wage authorization for firefighter Justin Wilcox.
Not only do I abstain because of the firefighter, I know him personally, so.
Okay. Those in favor of...
You need a motion.
I need a motion.
I would move to approve the wage authorization for Justin Wilcox.
We have a motion to approve
Thank you
the
very much, ladies and gentlemen.
wage authorization for
You
firefighter
did a nice
Justin
job.
Wilcox. And we have a motion and seconded. I will second that. And those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Same.
We have an abstention. Worcester County Retirement System Cost of Living Adjustment. This will take a little conversation. Go ahead.
Yes. So, this year, the Worcester Regional Retirement System and all of the regional retirement systems across the state have the opportunity to do a 5% cost of living adjustment for retirees. And this is only on the first $16,000 that the retirees make because Social Security had a 5% cost of living adjustment. And before the start of this fiscal year, Worcester Retirement had voted for a 3% cost of living adjustment, which is their legal limit of what they can do for a COLA. But the state passed a special legislation that would allow these retirement systems to bump it up that extra 2% to stay on track with Social Security. So, but in order for the retirement system to do this, they have to get the approval of 2/3 of the cities and towns. And so that's why this is in front of you tonight. And essentially, the impact will be retro to the beginning of this fiscal year, but the assessment won't hit the town of Barre until FY26.
And it's only on their first $16,000,
Yes.
correct? That 2%?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I did, I used the formula that Worcester Retirement gave us to calculate what the cost will be to Barre. And to Barre, it will be an additional $5,800 on top of whatever our assessment will be
Yeah.
in FY26.
Approximately $8,500 before, so.
Okay.
So this is up, essentially, the board has to decide whether
We're
you will
just-
support or
Yeah.
not support this initiative. I will report back to the Worcester Regional Retirement with the outcome of your vote, and that will go into their calculations of determining whether they have 2/3 of the cities and towns. I don't know exactly how many cities and towns, but I would be willing to bet it's like
It's a lot.
40 or 50. And whatever the outcome of that is will determine whether we will have to pay that additional $5,800 or not.
Yeah. I would also indicate that the Mass Teachers Retirement System, which is similar to, the Worcester County or whatever, they did give the 5% as well in the first $16,000, just to let you know that, so, anyway. I certainly would strongly support the change in Worcester County retirement to give them the additional 2%, and that the cost would be approximately $5,800 that we would be responsible for in FY '26.
I oppose and we do not support it. You know, it's above the normal cost of living that we can afford to give most of our whole town and our employees, and to give it to retirees, I think seems inappropriate. If we can't give it to everyone, which we can't. I would be against it.
It's challenging with the way inflation's going. People need more, but we also don't have necessarily that to give to our current employees.
The only thing that I would say is that we're talking about individuals who left our employment who make very little money. This is not a huge amount of money for those people who spent a lot of years with us. And I cannot, in any good conscience, vote against this. I will vote in support, and do so with strong support for this.
As we have every financial issue we talk about, I would like to be able to pay all our employees more and all of them larger cost of livings to make up for the inflation, but we simply, this isn't like I'm running my own business and I have my money and I can afford to dip in my pocket a little deeper. We're responsible for the town's money.
I understand that.
And up until the town says, you know what, we'll take a 0.3% tax override to give these people some more money across for everything we're looking for, which would probably do it, something like that. Up until the town would offer to do something like that, it's not ours to take and give, because then we're gonna have to cut people's town services in some small fashion to make, because we already don't have the money in the budget for the budget.
Well, this is FY '26, admittedly, and
No, it starts in July, it'll be assessed in '26,
So we pay for it in FY '26.
but it'll start accumulating now.
Well, it's retro, the retirees get a retro to July 1st of last year.
Of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So this would give $5,800 for last year, and every year until '26 we have to pay it. So in '26 we're going to have to come up with $30,000, $40,000.
no, 10,000.
Well, we're going into FY '24.
If you look at the number
24,
of 25, people who are
26,
on
you pay
this
4
and their
years.
ages, some of them aren't going to be here, believe me. Well, anyway, I think we know where we are. It's going to be it's going to be defeated by this board by 2 votes. I get it. So let's move on. There's no point. You're not going to convince me, and I'm not going to convince you.
John hasn't said which way he's going yet.
I am still a little, so I don't know if you could help walk me through this just a little bit more.
Yep.
So, all right, so I'm trying to understand, so this money would be going to the people benefiting from the retirement immediately, right? Retroactively,
For
and
last year.
then we wouldn't be paying anything towards it until '26.
Correct.
So at that time, we'd be paying for
23,
23, 24, 25, and 26?
Yes.
So 4 years of it? Or 3 years? if
Well,
they're redoing
it's only,
it
it's
for
only, it's only
26.
3. We're in FY '23 now.
Right, so 23, 24, and 25, then in 26 is the assessments.
And I'm sure if
So-
it's assessments in '26, I'm sure we'd be paying '26.
So we're looking at around 18,000 3 years from now.
Yeah.
And realistically, if there's an assessment in '26 as well, and 24,000 during '26. So once again, it's future spending money that we don't know our position on. It's a good chance we'll have free cash of some kind in that year to pay it, but
What is the system going forward after that? Is it an annual thing, or does this just drop?
Oh, no, sometimes they get 1%, sometimes they get.
Yeah, so
it's-
every year there's a COLA.
Sometimes they get nothing.
So we're agreeing to
There's
this
no
for the first 16,000 per year
Yes, that's
for
all.
each employee?
Yeah.
it comes out to 5,000.
So if you were retiring from a very lucrative job, as like Jessica has,
Mhm.
She
You're not
still
going
only gets
to
the
get
first
that
16.
increase on all of it?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
It's just-
and at least in Social Security, you get the percentage on the whole bit.
And it's that Social Security payments are going up by 5%.
Yes.
So the
For everybody.
retirees probably get some social security.
We don't qualify for social security.
If you've worked in the public sector for your entire career and you don't have sufficient quarters, you get no social security. If you worked in the private sector for X, but you end up getting a pension that's quite substantial, you do not get, because of the web, you do not get any social security, even if you qualify. Trust me, I'm one of them.
I'm one of them too.
We don't get anything, not a dime.
I thought that was
It's called the
completely, I
win-
thought that was completely separate from retirement systems.
No.
That's-
I'm going to give you the document.
Was it called the windfall
Yeah,
windfall
windfall,
elimination?
yeah, elimination.
provision? Yeah.
So I would have X number of dollars, but then because my pension is such in the public sector, then they say, well, you don't get social security, even if you earned it, even if you paid into it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we had to pay into it.
Yeah. But it is what it is. I know that
That
Representative
is
Neal has been working on that for
Reagan's law.
years.
And
I
if you couldn't
remember
collect it, you
fondly.
shouldn't be paying into it.
Those years I paid into it.
Yep.
We all paid into it, right? I still pay into it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it is what it is. I would definitely continue to my support for that, and I understand the concern that you have, but I do understand the contributions, these people who were terribly underpaid for so many years who work for this town, that not to say now that they don't even get this extra 2% on a menial pension, that because of their menial, I mean, I've known some of these people who worked their whole life here and probably retired at making $30,000, $25,000, and I'm probably being generous.
Is there an annual increase aside from this that
No.
happens regularly through the pensions?
It's always something that's
Up to
at the end of the
3%.
year. It's up to the legislators. In
Yes.
other words, like Social Security, there are
Well,
some issues you don't
Given
get
that I was
zero.
misunderstanding, assuming they were still getting a social security bump of 5%, I thought this was a double down on it.
Yeah.
No, this is just, the reason why the state legislature did this is because Social Security got the bump, and with the realization that employees who have paid into a public retirement system are not eligible to receive Social Security. So to try and stay,
To stay
In that case, we
in-
could probably-
Competitive.
with it.
We
Okay.
could probably find 24,000 in free cash in 2026 to cover that. So I will withdraw my objection to it.
Okay, so what you
And I will second the motion for it if you had a motion to approve.
I will make a motion to approve
And I will
the
second it.
request to authorize an additional 2%. 3%, 2%.
it's 2%.
2% on the first 16.
So on the first $16,000 for our.
This is why we don't
for
get
our
upset and
retirees.
quit, we keep discussing it, because
Okay.
you gotta understand it all the way, and I wasn't, obviously.
We have a motion made and seconded to authorize the 2%.
Or to at least vote in favor of it, I guess.
Favor supporting it,
Yes.
Favor of supporting it, yeah.
Yep.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye?
I mean, it may not pass in the other towns.
You never know.
So you
But
never know.
that's,
Do you know any?
it's tricky when they say
we
social
don't know
security
how-
gave 5%, so we're gonna get
Before
5%.
we go on, I
I
just want to make sure we didn't miss the, we made a motion and approved it to accept Jessica's resignation. I don't know that we made an approved one to post the interim town
Oh.
administrator.
We did not, and good catch. We have, is that a motion?
Yes.
We have a
I'll make the
motion.
We already approved that at posting last time?
I think we already did, but to post and advertise the interim town administrator job as a result of the resignation of our current town administrator. Those, got a second?
A second?
We have a motion made and
Motion
seconded.
and second to approve the posting for the town administrator position.
And you also have a motion that you accepted her letter of resignation. so-
Yeah, we did
We
that.
did
That
that one
was
earlier.
before.
We did that before, and then we went and we talked with the,
Oh,
Yeah, we just missed it, this one part, so we're just going back to that.
the posting?
yeah.
I have a motion here.
Oh, did we add?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Okay, so
I
we're
thought we did it last meeting.
we're authorizing to post?
So we
Okay.
have the motion
It
and
was on
second
the wrong
anyways.
page,
Okay.
sorry.
So,
We have a motion made and seconded to post the position of interim town administrator as soon as possible. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who
Okay.
motioned?
I did.
Omari motioned, and I motioned, and I seconded.
Oh, okay.
We just did it again, she said in motion, I seconded.
My motion
And
was
then we
not
get-
recognized
then we
by the
get-
chair.
Okay, so
That was the
then we
last
have,
track.
we did the
Should've
wage,
listened
we
to
did
it.
the wage authorization for firefighter, Justin. Now we need to finalize the document that has been approved by our attorney for the MOU for the acting fire chief. Do we have that MOU here tonight? I know we spent last week with
I
it.
think it should be all the way at the end.
All the way at the end. Thought we had finalized that. We did with him, I guess. And then it was reviewed by Kimberly. I don't think I have it here. I don't remember it being my
I know
packet.
Sandy has the copy in the folder right there, so. Yep.
The official copy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one that needs to be signed, correct? Okay.
And this is what we've approved.
Yeah, and this is
Right.
what we approved that was reviewed by our
Yes.
attorney.
So the only change was essentially the hourly wage.
Right.
So I would move to approve this, the acting fire chief MOU.
I would second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Stay.
I pass it down. I think we need 2 signatures at least on this.
Yep.
And so that's 2.
So now if you
21.
approved it tonight, and we signed it next week, and you weren't here, I would sign it. Because it needs to be signed to go in action. But I wouldn't do it, approve it unless I had to. It's something that's timely.
Okay, we have, now moving to old business where we will enter executive session. Could I have some motion to go to executive session?
I move to enter executive session pursuant to MGL 30A subsection 21A to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, specifically town administrator.
Second that motion.
We have a motion made and seconded to go into executive sessions primarily for the responsibilities as outlined in Mass General Law, Section 30A, 21. Those in favor?
Dixon, yes?
O'Sullivan, yes?
Marshall, yes?